Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Morning.
I went to the San Diego County Fair the other day, a couple days ago, and you could buy a rack of ribs for $75. I think if you get a hot dog and some fries and a drink, it was like $25 was about the cheapest you could buy. So inflation is struck hard.
Doesn't sound fair to me.
Oh, boy.
Unless it was FARE.
Yeah. They do a good job, though. It's pretty well organized. They want like $30 to park a car. So what's good, Torrey Pines School up in Delmar has free parking. Not only that, but a free bus then that takes you to the fair, to and from the fair. So that's the best deal. I guess they haven't discovered that they could charge for the bus, which I'm happy to hear. But, you know, for some reason, they're not charging for that, but charging for everything else. And to get your tickets, you have to go through Ticketmaster, which unfortunately, my Ticketmaster was screwed up. And it came on and said, you've got 2 mezzanine tickets for 2018 at some location. I don't know where it was. I said, I don't want that. I want the fair tickets. And there's no way I could find them. But anyway, I had a good receipt that I had paid through PayPal and they accepted that. So, but apparently trying to make it easy by doing everything online sometimes works and sometimes doesn't.
Well, I think the online customer service is getting worse. Maybe they're trying to keep doing more and more, and they're doing it more poorly.
Yeah.
But I've had a terrible time with all sorts of customer service things that should be easy, everything from technical support to try to order things online. It just seems like it's worse than it used to be.
Yeah. If they have a live voice you can talk to, sometimes everything works okay. But so many times now they don't even have that. You know, you go through this telephone tree that's about, 25 people long, and you never do get to somewhere you can talk to somebody.
Yeah, that's part of it. And when I do, I have trouble communicating with some of the foreign accents I have to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And so it really gets complicated, even if you do get a live person.
Yeah.
I managed to improve something along those lines this week with a company that I use to manage some of my rental properties. I had called them for something that was kind of urgent, and I couldn't get a live person. So I managed that later in that schedule a meeting with the owner, a Zoom meeting with the owner. And I told him that when I had command of a place that was supposed to be service oriented and be able to respond pretty quickly, I made it a practice to, from my home on a weekend, call my number, my office number that was supposed to be responsive. And if I couldn't find a live person that day, all hell would break loose on Monday. And lo and behold, the next week, my property manager president had established a whole new system, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
I did that for a long time. I had come out of that place for about 4 years, and I just did it every now and then because you can't trust the world to not build a system that's responsive to a computer, but not to a person.
Yeah. I was trying to help a friend who is completely disabled. Literally, her right hand doesn't work, and she's right-handed, so she only has a left hand. She obviously has problems driving a car, and she was trying to get some university UC scripts data transferred over somewhere. There was no way through their telephone tree that you could ever reach any live person. The telephone tree was like 20 numbers long or something. And I don't know, finally I did get through to a live person, but it wasn't very successful. So I don't know what this person is going to do, because they really have a big problem being disabled to the point where you can't drive, you can't actually run a computer very well with just your left hand. And I don't know what she's going to do, but she may die. That would solve the problem.
We're all going to do that.
Yep.
Some of us sooner than others.
Let's hope not.
You guys are going to miss me when I'm gone.
Mhm.
Oh, you won't miss me.
All of a sudden, certain things in this organization are going to stop working.
Well,
Who's your shadow, Hank?
What's that?
Who is your shadow? Who's your vice, Hank? Who's the one to come in and take over when you're unable?
Well,
I think his name is Stanley.
for some things it's Stan, for some things it's Will.
Yeah, I got a vice president for administration. I'm covered.
What's your background noise, Stanley?
It's absolutely quiet in here, and I don't know why that is.
Sounds like a plane going overhead.
Absolutely quiet in here.
Well, I don't hear anything. It was very low. I think there was something going on.
Yeah, you don't have your hearing aids in is your problem.
Well, that could be.
We heard it loud.
It has stopped now.
That's interesting. All I can do is say I have noise cancellation set at the highest level. And there was something. Is it gone now?
Yeah, the noise cancellation worked great.
Well, there's no noise now.
For you.
For me, yes.
Didn't work for us.
I will try to use mute more.
It may be the fact that you have your hearing aids paired to your computer, and the computer cannot hear the outside noise through your hearing aids, and so it can't do the noise cancellation.
Well, that could be, although the microphone is set to be the laptop computer. So the sound has to come in through the microphone. And right now that's set to be the laptop computer, but the speaker is my hearing aid. So I hear quite clearly through my hearing aids, but the microphone is set to the laptop. That's one advantage of the Zoom settings. You can separate the speaker from the microphone and use different devices for each.
So that works well for you, but not for noise cancellation.
Ah,
Because the
okay.
noise cancellation relies on hearing the outside noise and then canceling it from getting into the microphone. I was looking at something online this morning from 3 years ago, and the Ford Motor Company was doing innovative research, but not to actually come out with actual products. And they had this dog kennel that did noise cancellation. So when there were fireworks or thunderstorms, it would generate opposing sound to cancel it out so the dogs wouldn't get upset during those events. But it all depends on having to be able to hear the sound and then generate the noise cancellation aspect.
Now, this thing works for explosions that fast?
Well, it's just taking the opposite of the sound it's hearing and doing sound waves that cancel them out to counter them.
Is anything on the market like that now?
No, it said that they were not planning to actually come out with products for sale on it. It was just research they were doing.
Well, that's too bad.
Again, that was from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right now, I just reset the audio on the Zoom meeting to be speaker on the laptop and microphone on the laptop, and still kept the, well, I forget where I put the noise canceling. But anyway, it's, I'm not using the hearing aid device at all.
Are you able to hear okay?
Yes, I am.
Well, there's got to be a slight delay in the noise cancellation, but apparently it's so slight that it's not a problem. Because it has to hear the sound, generate the opposing frequency, and then send out the opposing frequency. But I guess in terms of audio, that really isn't big enough delay to cause a problem.
I've set the noise cancellation to auto just to try something different, just to see if that works better.
No, what we heard was a big plane going over, Stan.
I have a quick question. What's the most current Zoom now? What's the number?
I think it's 5.10.7,
Oh, okay.
5.10.7.
I just did an update, but it only went to 5.10.4, so I was kind of confused. I'll do it again.
Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning, everybody.
And Pat, and Jim, and Dan.
Good morning. Did everyone have the same problem getting in that I did? There was like a Zoom phone thing that I couldn't get around.
No,
No,
No. No.
Okay.
what happened, Pat?
Well, when I pressed to get in, well, actually, when I just got into Zoom, there was this phone advertisement, Zoom phone, some new thing that they're doing, but I couldn't get around it. There was no way to get back into the regular, where you actually join something. So I just backed out and got back in again, and it so far it didn't pop up. I'm wondering if it's this thing over here. Let me see.
Hi, Marty Tuller. She's a friend from Walkabout, and I think this is her first visit to the SCG group. Morning, Marty.
Hi,
welcome, Marty.
thank you for letting me come.
My pleasure.
Mary Ray, good to see you.
Here, let's see what Fran's up to.
Well, let's see, what time is it? It is 10:31. I'll wait another couple of minutes. We're only up to 15.
Okay.
By the way, just a quick reminder, I did send out the minutes last Sunday, so I'm assuming that everybody got them. Hank, did you get the latest?
They're up on the web.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I found one very small thing that wasn't even worth.
Well, and it's all did too. The one change was that in the membership, it should have said May instead of April.
I didn't see that.
That's how minor it was. I have good editors. I appreciate that.
There was something in the text that said have May instead of what I was pretty sure was going to be may have.
Oh, probably so. Okay.
Somebody
Minor.
stuttered as they typed.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, minor.
Just out of curiosity, I have that screen up, but I've never shared a screen. And maybe if someone can have a look at that, there would be a way around that. I can't believe I just got it. Nobody else got it.
What screen? You mean your background?
No, I mean the
When she tried to log in.
Zoom screen, it says post attendee, and it says, and it's a screen, and it just says Zoom, use the apps you love right in Zoom. And then it was get started, but there was no way of finding the real Zoom. So I had to back out. All there was contact us, get started, and that was it. And it just kind of popped up, but it was a post attendee thing. So I'm not sure how that happened.
Pat, did you leave the meeting? Because sometimes when you leave a meeting, it'll have an after meeting summary. And if you left the meeting, then came back in, you may be getting the summary of the meeting that you left when you're trying to get back into the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
if it's-
that happened. That would
yeah.
be weird. That
And-
that's never happened before.
And you tried to enter clicking on the link that I send in the email.
Oh, yeah, that's how I entered. I always enter with your email.
And that takes you to a web browser.
Yeah, that takes me to the web browser, and
And that's where you saw the message.
and that's where I saw this post attendee message and couldn't get out of it or anything. So I just backed out and got in again, and this time it worked. So maybe it was like Dave says, that it was some sort of weird thing going on.
Hey, don't. do that.
Story of my life, you know. I mean, it's like end up with all this stuff.
Well, Jim has his hand up.
Yeah, Jim.
But you're muted. You're muted.
Can't hear you, Jim.
I think that's what he's trying to communicate.
Very good, very good.
Turn yourself off and back on again. Disconnect and rejoin.
Or click on your click on the microphone symbol in the lower left and then unclick.
But it's more likely that he hasn't got his microphone connected to his computer, but
You're running with a separate microphone that with a USB.
Did you hit mute accidentally?
The Zoom is not muted.
Mhm.
No, but sometimes on your computer, I've accidentally hit a mute.
I just muted him, and now I'm going to ask him to unmute himself. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Which you did.
And now say something.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just the microphone is not working where he is,
Yeah,
or he has laryngitis.
Really bad.
if you click on the caret to the right of the mute symbol, the mute icon in the lower left, do you get something that says select a microphone? Jim?
And if you have more than one, try choosing a different one.
Or it just could be muted within his operating system.
Yeah, which I
Turn the
think,
whole computer off and do shutdown. Don't do restart.
Is there something else I can help with?
Siri for you.
Was that Siri?
Yeah, that was my Siri.
Well, I think it might be time to mute all of us, Hank.
Yeah.
I want to welcome another walkabouter, is Joan Edwards in from Canada.
Mhm.
That's a long walk. Okay.
Is the other
Unmute yourself. There we go. Okay, you are all muted, and I will now share screen and click sound and get rid of a couple of things that would be in the way, or get them maybe not rid, but moved. And let's see if this one, there. Get that up at the top. Go to full screen and start.
Love them or hate them, you have to admit, Google has done an amazing job with Google Maps and how it integrates with the entire Google ecosystem. I'm constantly blown away by the different things that we can do with Google Maps. So today I thought I would share with you what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I think are really cool about Google Maps that you may or may not know about. That is today on Dotto Tech. Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? Google Maps is our topic today. Google has done an incredible job with Google Maps. There are so many layers to what is in Google Maps and how it integrates with the Google ecosystem. Almost every time I dive into Google Maps and start poking around and exploring, I get lost for quite a bit of time, and I'm constantly impressed by the technical skill set that Google brings to the table in Google Maps. So today we're going to take a look at 5 different aspects or different tips that I have as far as using Google Maps. Now, you may know some of them, but some of them you may not know, or you may have forgotten about. Now, one thing I will point out is Google Maps is not necessarily a completely equal player in both desktop and mobile version. The mobile version, as you do probably, I typically use for navigation. I use it when I need it to get to a location. I don't spend a lot of time exploring on Google Maps on the smartphone application. However, on the desktop version, when I open Google Maps, even if I'm looking for directions somewhere, I start to explore. I use the different views, I use the different layers, I use the different features, and I spend a lot of time just poking around in Google Maps when it's on the desktop. So we're going to start with that. We're going to start with the desktop version or the browser-based version of Google Maps. And what I'm going to share with you is what I think is a tremendously useful extra feature, and that is the ability to measure distances. Let's have a look. Of course, we all know that when we use Google Maps for directions, for turn-by-turn directions to get somewhere, it gives us the distance and the estimated time that it's going to take us to cover that distance. But Google Maps will also give us distance as the crow flies, which is really useful, especially when we use some alternate transportation methods. For example, I've got a little boat that we run around the Vancouver area in the interior, and I was thinking about doing a day trip from where we live to another community on the Fraser River. And I don't know how far that's going to be. I want to figure out exactly what the distance is to determine whether or not, A, it's a good idea for me to take my boat on that trip, and roughly how long it will take and how much fuel I might require. So let me show you the process. It is very cool. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a beginning point. Okay, now this is actually where we would end up putting in right here. There's a little boat launch right here. In right here, I'm going to right-click my mouse. Watch this. I'm going to right-click my mouse, and here in the pop-up, I have the opportunity to measure distances. When you first find this, you're going to play with this so often. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click out here in the channel, and it's going to take me from that starting point out into the channel. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to start my journey up the river. Where I want to go ultimately is up to way over here, New Westminster, where it is, right there. There's a key here that I want to get directions to. So I'm going to go up the Fraser River here, and I can just click my mouse, and it's going to drop kind of waypoints that measures the distance of each of these different legs. And we'll take the south arm of the river on the way up. It's a little wider channel. We're going to go up there, and then we will zoom in a little bit to kind of bring us right to, and where's the key right there? There's the waterfront park and the key, Lonsdale Key Park right there. So I'll just go to right there. And so I see it is 17 kilometers from that point to that point. So so I can figure, okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. It'll take me about an hour or so at a reasonable speed, at a nice slow speed going up, which is, and I've got plenty of fuel in my boat. That's going to be a trip that I think I could do. And if I discovered it was like really long, I would then be able to rethink things. So this ability to be able to measure distances as the crow flies is a feature built into Google Maps. But there's a kissing cousin of this feature, which I want to show you. And for that, I'm going to change our view. I'm going to switch over to the satellite view, and I'm going to zoom in onto somebody's house. I don't know whose house it is. I'm just going to zoom in on a house. Let's zoom in on a house somewhere here. Let's zoom in on a house. Now, I love the satellite. Have you looked at your house in the satellite view? I've looked at my house many times in the satellite view. But let me show you something which I think is uber cool. If I had, say, oh, these houses aren't perfect. Oh, here's one. This one will do. If I had a house like this house here, and I had the backyard, to say I was going to be fertilizing my backyard, and on the bag of the fertilizer it tells you how much you should be doing per square meter or per square foot, but I don't know what the square footage of my yard is. I just don't know that. I guess I could go outside with a tape measure, but this is so cool. Right click your mouse, measure distance one more time, and just frame the area that you want to measure the square footage of, area of. And when you complete, it gives you down here, see this? The distance, the total area is 1,300 square foot or 130 square meters. That is phenomenal. That is so useful for a variety of things. Maybe this homeowner needs a new roof, and they're getting quotes from the roofing companies. And they say, well, how many square meters is the roof? They're going to ask you that because it's going to do the quote. I don't know how many square meters my roof is. So once again, we'll do quickly, we'll measure the distance, and we'll frame out, in this time, this case here, a slightly different, quite a complex area. And here we go. It's actually 3,200 square feet or 303 square meters. That is the measurement capabilities that's built in to Google Maps. But this ability to be able to measure distances accurately for planning or for just plain curiosity, just an awesome feature. Now, changing the view that we did as measuring the distance from the map view to the satellite view, so we can actually measure the rooftop area or the yard area, that shows us some of the different views and the different ways that Google gives us to be able to view the same information. So we've seen the satellite view, we've seen the map view, but if you look down here in the bottom of the screen, you've got the little guy, the little stickman, the Google stickman, which, as you probably know, if we drop on the map, will give us something called Street View, which is the street level view of the location that we're looking at. And we've probably by now seen the Google cars going by that are doing the 360 photographs of an area. But let me show you an additional feature that's built into Google Street View, which, man, I just love. I'm going to go back into my old neighborhood, my old haunt, and I'm going to scroll in on my grandparents' house. And there is my grandparents' old house right there. I'm going to drop the street view right there. This was Nona and Nono's house. And I'm going to drop it right there. I believe that is it. Let's take a look here. And is that it? Yeah, there it is right there. So here is my grandparents' old house that I grew up visiting. It was walking distance from where we lived. There it is right there. Oh, that brings back memories just looking at that. Actually, my dad built this house, so it makes it even more special for me. So if you take a look at Street View of any location, if you look up in the corner here, there's a little clock. And that allows us to go back and see within Street View when Google began taking pictures of this particular location. And you can go back in time and see what it looked like, in this case, back as early as 2009. And this, I just love this. So let's take it. Let's go back to 2009. Let's take a look. Oh, yes. What a difference. And look, the houses have been replaced, but this really brings back some memories. I'm actually feeling a little bit emotional because this is what it looked like back, a lot closer to what it looked like when my grandparents lived there. And if we scroll forward in time, we can see the same location. Just how many years? Just 2 years later, they tore down the house on the right-hand side and they built a bigger house. And then 2 years after that, You see the trees are growing up. The tree is blocking the view of my grandparents' house. Let's scroll over. There it is. And let's go 2 more years down the road. Their house is looking remarkably similar. Still the same, but look what happens now when we move up to closer. Here, just a couple of years ago, they started taking down other houses in the neighborhood. And this is typically what happens in Vancouver. And here, construction in the house next door. But Nono's house is still in place. You can go to any location on Google Maps, drop down the street, have a look around, see a 360-degree view of that location, and you can see what it looked like as now, as much as in this particular case, 14 years ago. You can see the history. So Street View is another one of the real gems that maybe you aren't going to find super useful, the Street View history in Google Maps. There are going to be cases, of course, where it is useful, but just for nostalgia purposes, just to go and look around. This is what I mean when I say, when I look at Google Map features, I end up just browsing and exploring for a long time. Street View history is one of the things that I always spend time with. One thing that always impresses me with Google Maps is its integration with the other applications in the Google ecosystem, specifically Calendar and Gmail, and how it integrates between your desktop and your mobile version through your Google account. So the next thing I want to show you, I'm going to actually not start in Google Maps, but instead I'm going to start with a kind of a real world scenario about how Google Maps can integrate in this entire system. So I'm going to create an appointment. Let's say that I've got a meeting coming up next week at our local Institute of Technology. So I'm going to add a location, and I'm going to type in BCIT. This is just a local school, a local technical college. And let's say that I have a meeting there. Now, look, as I start to fill out in Google Calendar, mind you, the meeting location, I have an option to preview this in Maps. And if I tap on that, out comes a little sidebar that shows the location in Maps. If I choose directions right here, it is going to give me directions on how to get from my location to BCIT. Now, it gives me transit directions, it'll give me driving directions, it'll give me walking or biking directions, it'll give me all those different directions. And I can add them back into the calendar. If I say, well, I'm going to choose driving because that's the way I want to go, I'm going to add those back into the calendar. So now it is living inside my calendar, so I can view it in my calendar as well. But look at this. This is where it gets really cool. I can send these directions to my phone. And you can see I get a notification right here in my phone that I've got directions to get to BCIT from my location. Now, this is where this is so cool. If I scroll down to the bottom of these directions, look at the option that I have here. This is something which I really like. It says, remind you to leave on time. What Google Maps will do then is it is talking back and forth with Google Calendar. And here's the dialogue that's happening. Steve has to be at BCIT at 10 a.m. Google Calendar to Google Maps. Google Maps says, oh, okay, and it checks the current traffic time. And it says, well, in that particular case, we better remind him to leave at 9:15 because there's heavy traffic and it's going to take more than 34 minutes. So I'll get a notification on my phone. You know how you get a notification you have a meeting in 10 minutes? I'll get a notification you should be leaving now in order to make it to your meeting on time. How cool is that? This integration of our apps talking to each other through the Google ecosystem. So the integration between Google Calendar on our desktop, Google Maps on our desktop and our smartphone, and the way they talk back and forth, it's just, it's so cool. You got to say, it's cool. Before I leave this direction screen, there's one other thing I want to show you is if I scroll up to the very top, you see this image here? This is a elevation gain. That's because we have chosen cycling in order to get there. That's the map that I actually ended up sending. But it's another additional feature that Google Maps recognizes. If you're biking, what are you concerned about? Turn-by-turn directions, of course. But going up and down hills, that's a big deal on a bike. So this tells us what the elevation gain is and where it happens in the ride so that we're prepared. That's another nice feature. And that ability within Google Maps to be able to choose your mode of transport from public transport, and it's constantly updating based on the times that the transportation system is delivering, through to walking, through to, even rideshare. How much in an estimated cost if you're using rideshare. So you've got all of these additional features to get there on your smartphone that are built in to Google Maps. you're going to be glad you stuck around, because I think this last tip that I'm going to share with you might have the biggest impact on your lives long term. And that is using location sharing within Google Maps, especially with family and friends. Now, there's two ways that I know of that you can share your location with others using Google Maps. You can drop a pin, which puts a location where you are, where you happen to be, and you can choose to share that by clicking and tapping down and holding on that, clicking share, and that will then share that location. So if you're at a bar, if you're at a restaurant, and you want to let a friend know where you are, you can drop a pin at the location, and you can share that location with them as a one-off. I'm here right now, come see me. And that's not a dynamic link, it's just a directions to that particular location. Other location features are dynamic. In other words, when you move, when the phone moves, the location will move with you, which is a great way to be able to keep tabs on family and friends if they're moving around and you need to know where they are. If you're at a large amusement park together, you can be tracking each other that way. And let me show you how you invoke that. You tap on your profile picture, and under the profile, you will then find your options. And if location sharing is available in your location, and it's not available worldwide. Some jurisdictions don't allow it for privacy issues, but if it is available, you tap on location sharing and up comes your instructions. You share your location, you choose within your list of family and friends who you want to share your location with, and you choose the duration of how long you want to share. This is a great safety feature, it's a great convenience feature. This past Christmas, my kids were home for Christmas, and one of my daughters was going to visit friends of hers, but there was a snowstorm. She was a little bit nervous driving out there. So she turned on location sharing so we could track her journey out to her friend's house and make sure that everything was okay and we could find her if we needed her. There's a lot of ways that you might want to use location sharing, and within Google Maps, in the whole Google ecosystem, we have the option to be able to do it. I think it provides a level of safety, it provides a level of security, it provides a massive level of convenience, and it is just straight up cool tech. There are lots of cool features in Google Maps, and if I haven't touched on your favorite feature here in this video, please, in the comments, please share with me your favorite Google Maps feature. Maybe it will be the basis for a future video here at Dottotech. And I hope you found this video to be useful and enjoyable. And if you have, a like and a thumbs up and a share would be greatly appreciated as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Now, before we leave, one last thing. Every week here at Dottotech, we host a free weekly tutorial webinar called Webinar Wednesday, where we teach some aspect of productivity or content creation. The link is right here. I encourage you to join us. They're free, they're awesome. I'm sure you'll have a great time, and I would love to see you. Till next time, I'm Steve Dotto. Have fun storming the castle.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
So if you've been living the RV life for any length of time, or even just like
Click the wrong button. There, we had 21 participants. I'm sorry to those who arrived a little late that I had already started the program when you got here, probably. So I'm not sure I could answer any questions about that presentation that I found, but are there any?
I just wanted to say that
yourself to speak. Who? What? Yes, David.
I just wanted to say that I know that a couple times Stanley has given presentations of a couple of his trips, and he had a lot of interesting Google Maps things that he did on his travels, and I was wondering if Stanley could tell us a bit about that.
Thank you, David. Yeah, the one thing I found fascinating was timeline, where it's a little spooky in that if you go into Google Maps on your desktop again, it will tell you where you were at any time in its recorded history, and will draw a little red line on the map of where you went during that day. And if you were someplace you shouldn't have been, it'll show it. Anyway, that was one thing I wanted to mention. The thing I found fascinating that he mentioned was the last thing that he mentioned was the share location. And I was just a little distracted just now because I was trying to follow up on that and see how I implement that. And again, getting into my daughterage, one might say, I'm thinking of sharing my location with my son on a routine time when I go out for a walk or something like that. So anyway, I'm thinking of looking in, but I got a keyword, and that's share location. So I think I know how to find it out. I'll work on that.
Ross,
Unmute. I get an email from Google once a year saying this is how many miles I drove. Because I have location services turned on my Google phone. My phone is connected through my Gmail account. So it knows where I am all the time, and then again shows the mileage that I have by month to month, how much miles I have driven. So that was kind of interesting to see. You can be a little concerned about that information, but it's there anyway because your cell phone company needs to know where you are. That's how the cell phones work. So to say I'm going to turn location services off so nobody knows where I am, think again.
Alice?
I just wanted to make a comment on that location finder. It really works great. I've been using it with my grandkids, and like my granddaughter recently drove from Chicago to Phoenix, and her mom and I both, all of us could track it, and it is really amazing. Works really well. So I encourage people to use it. You know, long distance or short, it really is a super feature.
Thank you, Alice. Will?
You're muted, Will.
He was talking about showing the history of his grandparents' house. How did he get to the history? Was it in the upper left-hand corner? There was something you click on?
No, it's a little clock.
There was a clock up there. Okay, thank you.
Sometimes it just has one date because that's the only time that the Street View truck has been by that area.
I believe Google started mapping that stuff back in 2008, so it's not going to be earlier than that.
And I checked my street and went back to like 2017 or something before they got to where my house was.
Patricia?
She's on the phone. That's why she stepped away from the screen.
Okay.
Okay, Will?
Yeah, I recall that Google Maps also has the state parks or the national parks in the database, and I haven't tried it, but as I understand, you can go to those parks and literally walk on through the parks with whatever camera they had. Has anybody done that?
Yes,
No?
I haven't done it, but I was present when I went to a lookout overlooking Honolulu on one of the mountains right back there, and I got to a park and I saw the little Street View truck parked in the parking lot, and there was a path that went out to the viewpoint. I walked out to the path, and here was the driver of the truck with the 360 camera mounted on his shoulders. And he had walked out that path and stood there for a while and recorded the beautiful view from the lookout point. And that now resides on the Street View of that area. There are lots of places if it's a scenic place or it's a very well-traveled place, you'll often find that Street View stops in the parking lot and goes on out on the path.
I haven't tried it, but various museums, I think, are in the database also, so you can do a stroll through a museum. Has anybody done that? visited, some of the larger museums around the world. I ran into a lady at Wesley Palms, and she said, "What are you folks doing in there?" And I told her it was a computer group. She said, "Oh, I hate computers." And I said to her, what do you like? And she said, "Oh, she likes art." And I said, "Have you ever been to the Louvre?" "Oh, no, I'd love to go there sometime." And so I explained to her how if she had a computer, she could do a tour through the Louvre. A couple of months later, I happened to see her at Wesley Palms, and I said to her, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" She said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I said, "What for?" She said, "I got a computer and I walked through the Louvre." I said, "Well, good for you."
And the nice thing is there's no lines, and the weather is always good.
Right.
Oh, Pat's gone. Okay.
Yep. No,
She just took her hand
took
down.
her hand down and went back down to the bottom of the list.
Well, I got a call from my neighbor and I forgot my question. That's what happened.
Go ahead, blame it on the neighbor.
Let's move on before the others do that.
You got to write it down, Pat.
Okay.
Joan Edwards, you have a question?
Yes, do you have to have data on your phone for that to work?
Have what on the phone?
No, to get Google Maps to work, it's a feature. If you go to Chrome, you can go to Maps right there, and it works within the program itself. You don't have to add anything to the computer to get the Google Maps to work on a directly on on a Google phone. If you have an iPhone, I think you have to add an app to it, or again, browse through Siri. David has better information, maybe.
Yeah, I think Joan, you're asking whether your phone needs to have a data plan on it. I think yes, because if you're getting any information via the internet, you have to have the data plan. If you have a voice only plan, you can get voices, maybe you can get text, but you can't get any of those internet type services.
That's away from your location or where you have Wi-Fi. So if you happen to be somewhere that you can connect to your phone to Wi-Fi, you do not need a data plan. And so I always whenever possible, hook my phone up to the local Wi-Fi. I receive phone calls, I can get text messages, everything through that, and the cellular service does not need to be there.
Honestly, the things that the things that have developed to be sold to us all boggle my mind. Patricia, did you remember your question?
Yes, I did actually. Thank you. It was actually a question for Stan, because I was looking under my Google Maps. And how did you access that history again? I probably wrote it down somewhere, but I'm looking at it and I'm not seeing how you would access your history.
I was just looking at that, and you have to be in the street view. And when you're in the street view, in the upper left corner, there's something there. And one of those things is the clock that was mentioned before. And if you click on that clock, I can show you, because there's an interesting thing that I think I've commented to this group before, that Street View in my neighborhood is blocked. The view is blocked. And so I was thinking that I wonder if it's blocked for all time. And as it turns out, it is. I can go to Street View and go back to 2007, and that part of my neighborhood is still blocked. May I share my screen?
Sure.
Sure.
Just make sure Fran doesn't forget her question.
Well, it's me, Pat. I forget the question. Fran wouldn't do that.
There we are. In the upper left corner, It has the address, doesn't it, Stanley?
Yeah.
Stanley, you're muted. If you're trying to talk to us, you're not coming through because you're muted.
Unmute, okay. All right, this is what I'm trying to say, is this is where I live. Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, notice that the blue lines, which imply street view, there are no blue lines in this neighborhood right here. And I'm in that area.
Okay. That's probably
if I go,
getting to your birthday party last Saturday.
okay, anyway, so now I go to street view.
I know something.
And I have to drop a location. So that put it right at the top of the street. Now I say I want to just move down a ways, and it drops me all the way down to Catalina Boulevard. And this,
Stanley, may I butt in here, please? Because I have some
Yes.
experience with this. I live in two places are private, which have private roads. And one of them is a gated community. And in both of those cases, the Google Maps truck may or may not have ever been through there. And if they are really private roads, they are not supposed to go in there and map and take pictures because the place is private. And you have
well, if I may comment to that, this is not a private road. This is Catalina Boulevard, and this is Bernice.
I understand that it is not a private road, and I have I live in one place which for years had a street, even though it was a gated community, and then all of a sudden had no more street view. So Google Maps has some way of turning this feature on and off, and they may have just turned it on in a certain portion of your area for no good reason.
I don't know that this is relevant to what Pat was asking, gentlemen.
Oh, well, actually, I don't find that clock, Stan. I put in my address and then, but I don't find any clock here.
Are you in street view? Have you dropped the little man on the map?
Well, I'm just automatically in street view. I don't see any little man here.
Can you see, Pat, can you see what Stan is showing now?
No, I'm looking at my roof, actually.
Look at what Stan's showing you.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm on satellite view.
Yeah, satellite is not it. Street view. Drop the man on the map.
Okay, let me find street view. I don't use this, so I don't really know how to do this. So there's supposed to be a street view here somewhere. Okay.
The way you get to it is there's a little man figure, and you just drop it at some point on the map, and it'll become street view at that place.
Yeah, still looking.
See in the lower right corner, over here in the lower right, here's the little man.
She's not watching what you're showing her, Stan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't have that. I'm looking, I guess I'm stuck on whatever this thing is, this satellite view, which is okay. Let me see if I can go back in it or something here. What if I do that?
Well, from the top view, satellite view or plan view, lower right, there's a little yellow man.
Stanley, she can't see that because she can't see share screen. You're sharing your screen with everyone, but she is not able to see the shared screen.
Yeah, not on my device. I see it on yours, but I can't get out of this thing here.
Could I suggest we move on to Fran's question and we'll come back to Pat?
Okay, yeah, well, I figured out. Sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Who had the question? Fran?
Well, Fran did, but I don't see her now.
No.
Oh, well, you know, I guess her daughter's in town and she might be doing her daughter thing. This is their last weekend and then they're moving. So yeah, it keeps coming back into this, but that's okay. I'll figure something out. I'll just Google it.
Will Wakely has his hand up.
Yeah, when you're in Google Maps, is there a way to tell northeast, south, and west? I haven't seen that there's a compass anywhere. Does anybody know about that?
Yes. Let me see if I can share screen and show you. If I go to share screen and then go to,
Particularly when I'm in Street View, I'd like to know which way I'm facing.
all right, hold on. I think I can show you. Let me get rid of this. Uh-oh. And get rid of full screen. There, now. When I go to a new Google screen and click the tic-tac-toe place and click Maps. There. Now, this is in the wrong place. Okay, here is a map. And up here, right at the top, there is usually a way, there is usually a little compass, and there's no little compass right now.
The only place I found a compass was on Street View.
That's where I want it.
Well, on the Street View, I can show it if you wish.
Hold on. There's the man. If I drop the little man on any place, there. Now, Will, can you see this? Can you see where my cursor is?
Yes. Oh, I see. Okay, but that's not a northeast, southwest compass.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is?
It's showing you which way
You
on
click
the
on
map.
the left and it will swing around to the right. And once again, once you have navigated once in there, you can now use your right and left arrows to go north and south and so forth.
So red is north?
Wait, let me finish, please, sir. And as you move with, as you swing right or left with your right or left arrows, the compass moves. And right now, up would be, looks to me like southeast. If the red arrow is north, straight ahead is southeast. That makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's just like if you're holding a compass at that point, which way would the compass? Yeah, you're holding it straight ahead. The compass is going to point to wherever north is, relative to where you are.
There goes another plane, Stanley. Mute yourself. Okay, let's see.
Will, did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm out of Street View. Okay, let's stop sharing and go back to questions. Patricia.
Okay, well, I figured out how to get into the Street View. So I got the Street View, but I'm still not seeing, apparently there's a little thing called layers and you're supposed to hit layers and then it pops up. So I've got the Street View. It's not very good, but I'm not seeing any clock here. I got direction, start, save, and all that. And you say it's on the upper left, but all I have across my top is my address and that's it.
All right, I'm going to share my Street View again and If,
Not a very good street view either.
I mean, I'm going to share my screen, which is just now a map. And if I type in an address, 4380 Caminito Pintoresco, this shows me the address and puts a pin to that space. And if I then drop, let's see, if I drop there. Now, can everyone see this thing up at the top up here? It says 4320 Ridgeway Drive. That's the address that I dropped the little man on. And underneath that, it says Street View, May 2019. And I think here, then if I click this, the little circle to the left of that, wait a minute, I'll get rid of it.
That's the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
If you
supposed to be a
click on the
clock.
clock, see right now it's showing you what the truck saw when it went by in May of 2019. But if I click the clock, pardon me, it gives you a bunch of different views that you can click on. This one is July 2007. The next one is February 2009. The next one is May 2012, and it shows you what was on that street.
And if you click on that image, your main image will become that at that time.
Okay. Yeah. There, you click on the image and it's now showing the one in May 2012 over here.
And, you know,
The question about the clock, Pat?
well, actually, this is more basic than that. I'm on my phone trying to do this. I've done what you're talking about on the desktop. I've never done it on the phone. Now on my phone, I don't have that capability of what the desktop's doing. All I have under the layers is the default, the satellite and the terrain. And neither one of those, none of those gives, you know, the look of the house or anything like that, which is weird, but that's the way it is.
I think it was Ross that said there's a lot of difference between what you get on Google Maps or maybe it was the presenter.
It was the presenter.
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
The presenter,
the
he said
same.
there's a lot of difference between what you get on a phone and what you can get on a computer.
And I believe, Pat, what kind of a phone do you have? Is it an iPhone?
Yeah, I've got the iPhone 7.
Okay, so that's going to be different because it's not a Google device, but maybe David or Saul can speak to that.
Well, I've got Google Maps and all that on there, so. And when I Googled it, I just did Google that it's on the iPhone, not the Android. Because first thing it popped
Okay.
up was the Android. But,
Okay, so what is your question about
the
see
question,
on your iPhone?
well, I don't think I can do it on the iPhone is what I was basically saying. I think I'll have to do it on the computer for all that.
Yeah, the desktop is more suited for all of this. It's just got more territory, more screen, more processing power, and a stronger internet link.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The one thing that your phone can do is accept a complete set of directions to get from one place to another if you have asked for directions on your computer and then click the link that says share this on your phone.
So I guess my question then to Stanley is when he was looking for, I remember he lost his something or other and found it, you know, back in wherever he was. So he was on his desktop when he did that.
Yes, I'm talking about the desktop. And don't worry about the fact that my neighborhood doesn't show up. That's a very minor, infrequent problem. So forget about that.
We did. Why are you bringing it up again, Stanley?
Because it was adding to the confusion, that's why.
We need more of that here on Saturdays. Okay, the other thing I want to point out is that we have talked about two things today. We have talked about Google Maps and the history of Street View when the little truck with the camera on top has come by many times in one place. There is something else that we've talked about, and that is your location history as recorded by your phone about where you have been over the past year or 2 years or 5 years. And your phone probably tracks that and probably has the history of where you have been stored in your phone, and you can call that up to see where you have been. I get it sort of automatically about once a month, and it shows that I went to the commissary on the base, and then I came home, and then I went to the drugstore, and then I came home. And that's just the history of the location of my Android device.
I think the key word is timeline.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I had forgotten that. Will, your hand's up.
Yeah, I wanted to welcome a couple of people that I see. First of all, there's a person by the name of Jackie and iPad. Jackie, we have not seen you before. Have you been on our group before? And we would like to know your last name and how you found out about us. Jackie? Jackie, can you wave your hand if you hear us?
I don't think that's a live picture. Here.
Yeah, there she is. Jackie, if you were to speak, we might hear you. Unfortunately, we can't hear you, Jackie.
Or put in chat.
Jackie doesn't have a microphone hooked up. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
But the iPads actually should include an.
In any case, welcome, Jackie. We like having you here. And another person, Connie Vickers. Connie, have you been with us before? You're muted, Connie.
Yes, I have, and I'm introduced to this group by Stan.
Oh, good. Are you with the Walkabout group?
Walkabout, yeah, Walkabout. And I can't always attend. I had a question about Google just now, and it went in and out of my mind, but Google Maps, and it just went in and out of my mind. So hopefully I'll remember what that was. Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome. We like having you here.
Thank you.
Okay, you could probably tell anybody that doesn't have the microphone, they could put it in the chat and where the chat is.
Pat, while you're here, what is Fran's last name? I know she's your friend, I believe.
Alborg, A-L-B-O-R-G.
A-L-B-O-R-T?
G, like George.
I believe she is a member of this group, Will,
Yeah,
and your
I
membership chair. So you should be able to find her.
Who was that said that? Was that Saul?
Of course, who else?
That's what I thought. I'm usually on the pointy end of that spear.
Well, it's just that her name starts with A, so it'd be at the beginning of the list.
I managed to get my name changed before Saul told me to this week.
This is Connie Vickers. I remembered my question, if I can ask it.
Sure.
About Google Maps. Has anybody had the experience of using Google Maps in a location and it's completely wrong? It takes you in the wrong direction. That's happened to me. So in Montana, and I was just wondering, they said something, I don't know who I talked to about it, but they said something about their maps were wrong. So I really got myself lost using Google Maps.
That's just because it's in Montana. Everybody in Montana is kind of lost. So
I came out of the airport and instinctively I knew I needed to turn to the east, but it was taking me to the west, and I ended up in Belgrade, which is really close to, it's in near Bozeman. And then I finally got someplace, and I really had to call and ask for very, very specific directions to get to the hotel that I wanted to get to. And it was because of Google Maps, and it was wrong. So I'm a little leery about using that now.
How long ago was that happened to you?
You know, that was maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Because I was just going to say, a couple of years ago, a lot of families were meeting other families that were camping in Julian, and half of us got wrong Google directions and ended up not where we wanted to go, and the other half ended up there fine, and it was all the same day, about the same time. But they had three of us, we took us north, and the same thing, we stopped. We knew it wasn't right, but kind of interesting. But that was about the same 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, and because I think they've been up to, as people report these things, they do
They get
some of the
better.
maps. And then sometimes you will have a cached version of maps that needs to get updated.
Yeah.
I see that Fran is back now, if she
Yeah.
still has a question.
I do. Maybe it's been answered while we were gone. It was a false alarm. My daughter's here for her last weekend before she moves to Saskatoon, far, far away. So one of the things I rushed off to do is tell her to share her location. That they're going out to eat, and I decided not to go out to eat. But anyway, so first of all, Connie, yes, I have had that experience with Google Maps. I've had experience where they're supposed to take us the best direction, and like we're going through side streets when there was a main street 1 block over, or I mean, all kinds of weird things. But I guess with time so I have a simple question. Where is that clock? I'm on Street Maps. I'd like every one of you, we all ran to check our Google Maps. So I go to go to Street View. Is it only the clock? Only
Let me
shows up
see if
on
I can
Street-
show you.
Yes, because there's a click somewhere that
I'm sharing my screen now. And then I'm going to,
You have to drop the little guy on the map somewhere.
I'm dropping, you have to drop the little man so that you can get into Street View.
I
Now,
just drop it anywhere.
You want to drop it where you
Okay.
want it to be at.
Okay. got that.
ladies and gentlemen, will you please let me speak to this lady for a minute and help her, because I'm the one sharing the screen. And Fran, it's your name, Fran, that
Yes.
I'm helping?
Fran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see now on your computer this picture of a house
Yes.
with a palm tree in front of it?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Nice Street View.
Okay. And you know how I got there?
Yeah, I know how to get there to Street View.
Okay. Now, look in the upper left-hand corner and
Yep.
it says 4273 Ridgeway, and down below it says Street View from May 2019.
Mhm.
That is the latest thing that Google Street View truck has gone by and taken a picture of.
So if you
that-
want to go back,
To the left of that is a little clock. You see where my cursor is right now?
yes.
And when I click that clock, you then see,
Okay, gotcha.
and now you have a choice of clicking here or here. And if I click up here, there's one from June 2014. That's what the house looked like. They bought a new car since then. This one's gray and the new one is black.
Okay, got it.
Got the clock.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
While I'm still here, does anyone else have a question about Street View and the clock? Hearing none, I will stop sharing. As soon as I find the stop sharing button. Come on, stop sharing. Here we go. Okay, we're back. And Barbara Wilkinson has a question.
Yeah, I just have to share some information. Since so many of us have problems with our phones, I have Android, and I know a lot of people have iPhones.
Outside and he's not tethered and he's going crazy.
Oh, he'll calm down.
Okay, I got a message from Mary Burns, who's with the San Diego Community College, And they have an Android class coming up in August that they're looking for people to sign up for. And I have the information, the class number and the website to go to. I can put it on the chat. And they've only got 23 registered so far, and they need 30 to make the class go. And the class just goes for 3 weeks on a Wednesdays, 2 hours on a Wednesday.
Is this an in-person or in-person and Zoom?
This is over Zoom.
All Zoom.
Yeah, all Zoom. And it's an excellent class. I took part of it last fall, but got interrupted when I had to go in for knee surgery. So I've signed up to take it for August, and they'll be bringing it back in September, October, I guess. But I can put the information, the class number and the sign-up location on chat, and if anyone's interested.
Yes, please.
Yes,
It's
please
worth
do.
taking, and
Type-
it's free.
Yeah.
It's free, which is important.
Copy that info into chat right now and post it to everyone.
Okay, will do.
Everybody will be able to see it. All right, Dan, you're up.
Just a couple of comments. I've been in Zoom and other transportation services that were following those map directions and had to direct them on where to go, how to get there, because they were turning in the wrong direction and so on and so forth. So I guess Zoom would, not Zoom, but map directions would finally get you there, but it may not be in the most appropriate way or the shortest way.
Yeah, I had that happen this last weekend when I was trying to get Stan's birthday party. It took me, what did my kids used to say? Over the river, throw up in the woods?
I had another comment on an article in today's paper that I found interesting. It's from the Washington Post. Conscientious chatbot, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, they're talking about artificial intelligence and when it's going to take over, and some argument about is it too intelligent or can we shut it off? You know, they have different outlooks on it. It's an interesting article, I thought.
And you're telling us about this because you're going to post it in chat so we can all see it, or what?
It's too long to post into chat.
How about the link?
It's not a link, it's in today's newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Page B4.
You can, does everyone know that if you get the San Diego Union Trib on your computer and click on it and then go up to print, that one of the print options is save as a PDF. And once you've saved it as a PDF, you can, of course, send it to anyone, send a link to anyone, or send it as an attachment to an email. So you can, in fact, share anything that's in the Tribune.
I could share this with you. I just didn't know if anybody was that interested in it. Will may be interested in it. He gets into those kind of things.
If you're interested, wave your hand, please, for Dan.
What was the subject, Dan?
Subject is, with this artificial intelligence, is it going to take over, and can we shut off a program that has artificial intelligence, or is it a person?
You know, interesting. You know, I'm trying to figure out how I can live another 50 years. We have so much that we can do now, as we just saw today, even with just one program. But what's going to happen in 50 to 100 years? It's unfathomable what sort of advancements can be made, especially with AI, with the artificial intelligence. My mind is boggled.
It was a really, really good on Tucker, on the Fox Nation. Tucker Today did an interview with a guy that was really knowledgeable on that AI, and it was very interesting exactly where it's going, what his predictions are, and the reason that it'll never take over completely. The one thing that's lacking in AI is compassion, but it was very good. If anyone gets Fox Nation, it was an excellent article.
One of the things this article talks about is Google has put some guy on leave because they don't like his outlook on it. His name is Lemonine. Suggested that Google ought to ask the program's consent before experimenting with it.
By the way,
Okay, somebody just had their hand up and just took it down. Who was that?
I have a UT subscription, $8 a month gets you the Sunday newspaper plus all the online that you can do with the Union Trib. So I don't mind spending $8 a month, but I didn't like spending what they wanted before for a full subscription.
Does that get you access to all the daily issues on?
Yes, yeah, full electronic communication, but it gives you.
I get the digital 7 days a week, but I get the live one on Sunday. Is that what you're doing, Will?
That's $8 a month.
Yeah, right. It's great.
Okay, Dan, you done?
I think Mary Ray is trying to raise her actual hand.
Mary Ray, yes. I'm going to ask you to unmute. You should get a note that you can click on. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. I would click across. Okay, let me click Ray's. There you are. Go ahead.
She's got.
Okay, it asks, here I'm trying to get this Google Maps, and it says, what's a recovery email address? I don't have a recovery email address.
Just to clarify, you don't have to register with Google to use Google Maps. It's just a website page.
Okay.
So let me show you again on my computer how I get to Google Maps.
Yeah, but Hank, you have a Google account. I don't know that Mary Ray has one. And so you go to the tic-tac-toe symbol, but if you just go to Google or Google Maps, it'll bring you there.
Okay, let's try that. If I just go to, wait a minute.
Any search engine.
There. Now, if I just go to, well, with me, when I click add a new tab, I get the tic-tac-toe thing over here. But if I don't use that tic-tac-toe thing, you're saying that if I type in Google Maps,
yes,
and type enter, that I will get.
Yeah, I don't know what that first one is. That says it's an ad.
It's an ad. All ads come first on my Google, but
yeah,
down here to Google Maps,
that's the one you want.
That, then you will get a standard Google map, and it.
Although I will say, at this point, Hank, you're still logged into your Google account, so
yeah,
probably...
but the key is that the URL is google.com/maps.
Yeah, up here.
And that's where you need to go.
And it looks at my location and starts me from where I am. Here is Route 15, and somewhere along here is, yeah, Fairmont, right there. Let's see if I move this. I'm right here. That's my street address, and that's where that's where Google Maps started me off. So you should be able to get to Google Maps that way. Who was I talking to here?
Mary Ray.
Mary Ray. Does that work for you, Mary Ray?
I have a map in front of me. It's down in Pacific Beach. I don't know whose map that is.
Okay, can you share your screen? Can you click the little green tab at the bottom of the Zoom world? Do you know what I call the Zoom taskbar down at the bottom, which has
It's chat.
phone? Yeah, and it has a green box with an arrow in it.
Yes, I press that.
Click that, and then you will get a window that has share in the lower right corner.
Yes.
Click on share.
Says open systems preferences. Share my screen.
Yep, share your screen. And then we should all see what you're looking at. Not yet.
You see my screen?
No.
Not yet.
Well, there's some.
You're on a Mac, I believe.
Yes, yes.
So that when it's coming up and asking you to go to system preferences, Apple is trying to protect you by you need to allow Zoom to share your screen manually. It doesn't do it automatically. So then you need to go to that, share the preference, go to the preferences screen, unlock that preference with your administrator password, and then allow Google to have access to that system.
Yeah, he meant Zoom, but yes.
I don't know what to press. You see my screen.
That's
right?
okay. That's okay.
What do I put up there in the search box?
I think maybe Ross and Mary Ray should stick around after this, and he can coach her on how to do that by maybe sharing her screen with, or she can share her computer with him.
To answer the question about your alternate email address, no, you don't need, I think as Saul mentioned, you don't need to put that in there. You can just go to the next step. If you have a cell phone that accepts text messages, then yes, you should put that in there. What they're trying to do is allow Google to help you get back in on your Gmail account if you have a problem with the password. So that's the features that are there. Now, once you get your Gmail account set up, you can set up as many free Gmail accounts as you want. So you could make one that says Merry Recovery and create that at Google and use it for everybody that needs to have a way to get in touch with you if your primary Gmail account you can't access.
Okay.
Will.
Yeah, I see, Jackie, you now are on good video. Do you have audio working also? Can you speak and we can hear you?
Will?
Yes.
She's on an iPad. It's the same issue with Mary Ray. She has to give explicit permission to allow the microphone to be used by Zoom.
Okay. Jackie, can you hear us? Can you wave your hand if you can hear us? She may not even be able to hear us.
She should be able to hear us. Yeah, she's
okay.
waving.
She's waving.
Okay. Jackie, do you hear the instructions that Saul just gave you?
I don't think we need to go down that road, Will.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I want to welcome you, Jackie. And
Will, you're the chief welcomer.
Yeah.
He's the membership guy. That's the right thing for him to do.
Correct.
Ross, you still got your hand up. You want to say something?
Muted here. There we go. When you were searching for Google Maps on your computer, and the first link that came up showed maps, but it wasn't Google. I would prompt everybody to be very careful when you are using the search engines to look for something. I had somebody do that this week when they were trying to get support for their Amazon Echo. and they got to a place that says, yeah, we can help you with your Amazon Echo. Click here, do this, let us in on your computer. Oh, but now it's going to be $49.50 a month for us to help you. So there's a lot of places on there that will pick up and say, yes, I can help you with your printer. Yes, I can help you with your car, but it's not the manufacturer. You have to make sure in the link. And Google's pretty good about showing you that this one's got an ad, and go down to the one that says google.com or microsoft.com, whatever it is, the product that you're trying to find information on. If it's your HP printer and you're looking for support, again, make sure that it's going to hp.com, not somewhere else. And the other point is that I want to mention is that 3 times this week, I had people who had problems with their computer that turned out they had not restarted their computer. And once they did, the problem went away. So just restart your computer.
Let me show everyone by sharing my screen what Ross is talking about and what to be careful about. If you put anything in here, and I'll do the same thing I did before. I'll type in Google Maps, GOOGLE-MAPS, and I'll type enter. And well, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
You put an extra P in there, and it actually had completed it for you if you'd looked, where you wouldn't have had to type it all.
Yeah, I know.
If you click on where just a little below where you are, where it said, did you mean Google Maps? You could have just had it go there.
Okay, now, this is now doing what I want to show.
No, you're right there. Stop right there, sir. So that the first one shows you that it's an ad, and it's a website called mapsdirections.me.
Everybody, please notice that for the 1, 2 things before the real Google Maps, it says ad. And I don't click on ads that I don't know what they are because of what Ross said.
And if you scroll down a little bit, Hank, you'll see that there's green check marks on there. That's an approval by Google saying this is a legitimate site for what you're looking for.
I didn't know that. That's great. I'm glad we're doing this, Ross. Everybody, please note the green check boxes or check circles. And I imagine if I go down even further, there's Google Earth, and that's a green check box, green circle, etc. Very interesting. Lots of ways to stay safe and lots of ways to get in trouble.
The people who are on Apple devices and having trouble, if you call Apple support, no matter how old your device is, they should be able to remote in on your computer and or help you set those permissions, because they are not easy to do. They're a little tricky to make sure. So if Mary Ray was to call Apple and say, I'm having trouble getting Zoom to do what I need it to do, or Street View to do what I need it to do, they should be able to help with that.
Okay, good.
Great, Ross. Yes, Will.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that Jackie may want to stay on with Saul, and Saul, you might be able to help her out with her problems that she might be having with Apple device.
If she wants to do that, that's fine with me.
Okay,
Jackie, that's the
when
thing
I
you can
close
do.
everything out of here, I'll leave and designate Saul as a new host.
Okay, another thing.
This gets out of there, except Jackie.
There are equivalents, I shouldn't say equivalents, there are sister programs to Google Maps. Google Earth is one which has additional features. There's Google Oceans, which show you all of the oceans on Earth. I believe there's Google Moon, and there might be Google Mars. I'm not sure.
What's the
Anybody know
last
about
one?
that? But those are other databases you can get into and spend many hours.
Well, it is 11:55 here in San Diego. I don't see any more hands at the moment. So I am going to, let's see, what can I do here? I'm going to leave the meeting, and when I leave the meeting, I will designate Sal and leave. And when the rest of you have left, except for Jackie, Sal can maybe help Jackie.